What does life look like when you are born into one of the wealthiest societies in the world? In Dubai, some teenagers grow up surrounded by unimaginable luxury, experiencing a lifestyle most people can only dream of. Some own a private zoo with over 500 exotic animals. Others have a single watch worth $31 million and drive cars so rare that other one exists anywhere else on the planet. These are the richest kids in Dubai, and the way they actually live will completely shock you. Rashed Belhasa. Okay, so here's a kid who is 15 years old and already has a sneaker collection worth more than $1 million. Let that sit for a second. $1 million in shoes before he's even old enough to drive. His name is Rashed Belhasa. The internet knows him as Money Kicks. And honestly, the name checks out. His dad runs Zayed Belhasa Holding, a construction empire with more than 50 companies and 10,000 employees under it. So, yeah, the money's real, the money's old, the money's everywhere. But here's the thing people get wrong. This isn't some kid just sitting on daddy's bank account. He built his own following, 2 million on Instagram, over 3 million subscribers on YouTube. The content is exactly what you'd think. Him, celebrities, and a lifestyle most adults will never touch. Now, back to those sneakers, because we are not talking about a normal collection. He owns Michael Jordan signed Air Jordan 13S. He owns Nike Air Yeezy 2 Red Octobers, the ones that go for around $15,000 a pair. 15 grand for shoes. That's a car payment plan sitting in a glass case. But here's where it gets unhinged. Most rich kids stop at a dog, maybe a horse if the family's feeling fancy. Rashed has a private zoo, over 500 exotic animals, lions, tigers, giraffes, the whole lineup. And get this, he actually rescued a lot of them out of bad conditions, so there's a heart in there somewhere. He even named them like luxury brands. A lion called Valentino, orangutans named Gucci and Dior. You cannot make this up. The zoo's closed to the public, but that hasn't stopped Mariah Carey and Floyd Mayweather from stopping by. One minute you're next to a giraffe, the next, you're next to a world champion boxer. Just a normal Tuesday for this kid. And building something like that doesn't come cheap either. We're talking millions just to set up. Hundreds of thousands every single year just to feed everyone in there. Then there's the garage. A Ferrari FT12 Berlinetta, wrapped in a Louis Vuitton and Supreme-inspired design, because apparently a Ferrari alone wasn't enough of a statement. And he got it as a birthday present. 15 years old, unwraps a Ferrari. There's also a Cadillac Escalade done up in a Yeezy-style wrap, sitting right next to it. But the one thing that actually stopped me, a bottle of perfume. Not just any perfume, Shumuk, officially the most expensive perfume on the planet. It cost almost $1.3 million, and it holds an actual Guinness World Record for the number of diamonds covering the bottle, a perfume, with a world record, sitting on a shelf in a teenager's house. So, no, this isn't a kid with a nice allowance. This is a 15-year-old with a zoo, a Ferrari, a Guinness World Record perfume bottle, and a following bigger than most TV networks. You'd think that's a movie plot. It's just Tuesday in Dubai. Marwan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum. Okay, so this one's actually insane because he's 23 years old, and already sitting on $1 billion. Not made up money either. Real money, real job, real power. He's deputy chairman of Emaar Properties, one of the biggest real estate companies in the entire UAE. You know the Burj Khalifa? That's Emaar. You know Dubai Mall, the one everyone's been to or seen 100 videos of? Also Emaar. So when people say he's in real estate, that's not some side title. The man is sitting in meetings that decide what Dubai's skyline looks like next. And he didn't stop there either. He co-founded Sherfa Capital, a financial institution, and he owns a quarter of the whole company. 23, billionaire, real estate, finance. Most people his age are still figuring out rent. Now, let's get to the toys, because this is where it gets stupid. His car collection alone is worth more than $10 million. Several Lamborghinis, because apparently one Lamborghini is never enough for these people. A Bugatti sitting in there too. But the one that actually matters, the one he reaches for, is a Rolls-Royce Phantom drophead coupe. That single car costs more than $500,000 on its own. Then there's the villa, almost $7 million, 7 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, 2 pools, 3 fountains. And get this, that's not even his only property. He's got more. While Rashed's busy feeding lions and tigers in a private zoo, Marwan is sitting in boardrooms changing what an entire city looks like. Skyscrapers, luxury hotels, whole neighborhoods. He's involved in the actual construction of Dubai's future. At 23, he's sitting at the same table as the most powerful business leaders in the Middle East. And he still finds time to drive his supercars and relax at a 7-bedroom villa with 3 fountains when the boardroom stuff is done. Work hard, relax harder. Apparently that's the motto. So, what's next for a 23-year-old with this much money and this much access? He could turn Dubai into the next major tech hub. He could go all in on sustainable, eco-friendly development and make the entire city a model for it. Nobody knows yet, but one thing's already locked in. Whatever he picks next, it's going to be big and it's going to be expensive. Very, very expensive. Saeed bin Butti al Maktoum. Okay, so this one starts with a number that should already be insane on its own. He's worth $2 billion. $2 billion. Let that sink in for a second before we even get into who he actually is. He's the son of Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, the single most powerful man in Dubai. So, yeah, you'd think that's the whole story. Rich dad, rich kid, done, except it's not. Saeed didn't just sit back and wait for a check. He's deputy chairman and managing director of Abdullah Jameel Holding, one of the biggest companies in the entire Middle East. This isn't a company that does one thing either: cars, real estate, energy. If an industry makes serious money, there's a good chance this company already has a hand in it. Now let's get into the watches, because this is where it gets ridiculous. He's not wearing some basic Rolex like every other rich guy on the internet. He owns the Cartier Santos Dumont XL, platinum case, manual movement, and only 100 of these were ever made. 100 in the entire world, and one of them is just sitting on his wrist like it's nothing. Then there's the Hublot Big Bang Unico King Gold Blue. 18-karat gold case, and the dial is see-through, so you can actually look straight into the watch and watch all the tiny gears and parts moving while it tells time. Price tag: $3,000 for one watch that most people will never even see in person, let alone wear. But here's the part that actually gets interesting. When he's not running a multi-billion-dollar company, the man basically lives a different life entirely. Private islands, resorts where one single night costs more than some people make in an entire month. He's woken up on a secluded beach with a personal butler already standing there waiting on him. And get this, he doesn't just book a room, he rents out entire resorts just for himself and his friends. Why share paradise with strangers when you can buy the whole thing? Now you'd expect a guy like this to be all over social media, flexing every single one of these moments. He's not. He's actually fairly low-key for someone worth $2 billion. No constant flashing, no showing off every watch and every trip. He seems genuinely focused on the business side, on actually building something with his own name attached to it, not just being known forever as the son of a sheikh. And it's working. Under him, Abdullah Jameel Holding didn't stay stuck selling cars. They pushed into new markets, advanced technology, sustainable energy. He's thinking long-term, about shaping what Dubai and the entire Middle East look like years from now, not just picking out his next watch or his next island. So, here's the full picture. A man worth $2 billion, a 100-piece limited edition Cartier, a transparent gold Hublot, and the ability to rent out an entire resort on a whim. And he's still showing up low-key, still focused on growing a company instead of growing his follower count. When he's off the clock, he's driving around Dubai or flying out for the weekend, same as anyone else, except nothing about his version of same as anyone else is actually normal. Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Okay, so this one opens with a number that almost doesn't make sense. $19.1 billion. Not million, billion, with a 1 and a 9 in front of it. And he's actually sitting on Forbes' billionaire list because of it, officially, on paper, confirmed. Here's the thing though. Hamdan didn't just get handed all of that and call it a day. He runs the family construction company, and this isn't some small operation either. It pulls in around $7 billion every single year. $7 billion. In 1 year. That's more than some entire countries bring in for their whole budget, and he's running it like it's just another Monday. His fortune went from $1 billion to more than $19 billion, and the thing that pushed it there was a string of seriously profitable government contracts. 1 billion to 19 billion. That's not growth, that's a launch. Let's talk about the garage now, because of course there's a garage. Bugatti, Ferrari, Rolls-Royce. And we're not talking entry-level versions either. We're talking some of the rarest models that exist on this planet, the kind of cars that make other millionaires jealous just looking at them. Then there's the house, and the house has its own private helipad. He can walk out of his bedroom and be in a helicopter within minutes. No traffic, no airport, just straight up and gone. The place also has a massive pool and gardens so big you could actually get lost wandering through them. His watch collection is on another level too, seriously impressive enough that even a Swiss banker would be doing a double take. We're talking watches that individually cost more than most people's entire homes. Not the watch and the house combined, just the watch alone. But here's what actually makes this one interesting. When he's not closing billion-dollar deals, he's not sitting around doing nothing. He's out on his yacht, or he's competing, in major equestrian events around the world. This man is genuinely obsessed with horses, and he's not just watching from some VIP box either. He's in the competition himself. Most people can't even commit to one serious hobby, and he's running 2 entire lives at once. And here's the twist that nobody saw coming. He actually dropped out of Harvard. Yes, Harvard. The place people spend their whole lives trying to get into, and he walked away from it. But before anyone calls that reckless, he founded Future Prowess Consultancy, a multi-million-dollar technology-focused investment firm. And that was him proving early on that he didn't need the degree to know exactly what he was doing. Most people spend their whole lives chasing one win. He's stacking them in business, in sport, and in everything in between. Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. This one is part of Abu Dhabi's actual ruling family, and his fortune sits at $500 million. Now, compared to some of the numbers we've already gone through that might sound almost small, but stick with this one, because the way he's spending and investing this money is genuinely a different game entirely. First off, this isn't a guy just coasting on family money doing nothing all day. He's heavily involved in multiple fields, and technology specifically is where he's putting most of his energy. But before we get into the serious stuff, let's talk toys, because the garage on this one is wild. He owns a Bugatti Veyron, one of the fastest production cars ever built. This thing can hit more than 250 miles per hour, and it cost around $2 million. And that's not even his most expensive car. That title goes to his Ferrari La Ferrari. Only 499 of these were ever made. Each one costs more than $3 million, and it's basically a race car that somehow got legal clearance to drive on regular streets. Nearly 1,000 horsepower, sitting at a red light next to regular traffic. Now, the house. He's got a mansion in Emirates Hills, one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in all of Dubai, and it comes with its own private cinema. He doesn't go out to watch a movie. The movie theater is already inside his house waiting for him. And the pool isn't really a pool either. It's more like an actual private water park sitting in his backyard. But here's where this one gets genuinely interesting. He's deeply involved in Mubadala Development Company, which is basically one of the main tools the UAE uses to invest in its own future. We're talking billions of dollars going into advanced technology, everything from artificial intelligence to renewable energy. He and his team are actively trying to turn the entire UAE into the next Silicon Valley, except with way more sand and way more supercars parked outside. Artificial intelligence is his biggest focus specifically. They're putting money into self-driving cars, smart cities that basically run themselves, and AI-powered medical systems that can catch illness before symptoms even show up. He's also pushing hard into education and renewable energy, building some of the largest solar power plants on the planet, right out in the middle of the desert, and launching programs to train up the next generation of tech talent from inside the UAE itself. And that's still not everything. He's also got his hands in real estate, healthcare, and aerospace. His portfolio genuinely covers more ground than most people's entire group of friends combined. Very impressive if you ask me. Sheikh Mohammed bin Hamad Al Thani. A single watch on Sheikh Mohammed wrist costs $31 million. And that's honestly just the warm-up for everything else going on here. His full fortune sits at $8.4 billion, which is more than the entire GDP of some small countries put together. One man, $8.4 billion. And he's not floating through life off that number, doing nothing either. He's deputy chairman of the Qatar Investment Authority, QIA for short, Qatar's main financial powerhouse, sitting on assets worth more than $450 billion. That watch we mentioned, the Patek Philippe Grandmaster Chime, isn't just expensive for no reason either. It has 20 different functions packed into it. 20. Most people can't even use all the functions on their phone. And this man has 20 functions on something he wears to check the time. His whole collection runs through names like Patek Philippe and Alonge and Cerner, brands that mean nothing to most people, and absolutely everything to anyone who actually understands watches. Now, the garage, because somehow it gets even more extreme. He owns a Koenigsegg Agera RS, one of only 25 ever made on the entire planet. Each one priced around $2.5 million and capable of hitting more than 270 miles per hour. That alone would be the most insane thing most people ever see in person. But it's not even his most expensive car. That title belongs to his Bugatti La Voiture Noire, a completely one-of-a-kind car, meaning there is no second one anywhere in the world. Price tag, $18.7 million for one car. And he doesn't even hide these away in some private garage either. He actually shows them off at private exhibitions around the world, the kind where every car parked outside is worth more than most houses. Speaking of houses, he's got two that genuinely don't sound real. His place in Doha is basically a palace, more rooms than some actual hotels. A private cinema built right inside, a pool bigger than most people's entire homes, and gardens large enough to fit a full golf course. Then there's London, where he owns a penthouse in One Hyde Park, one of the most expensive residential buildings on Earth. A building where a regular apartment alone can cost more than $100 million. He's not renting a unit in that building, he owns the penthouse. Here's the part that actually changes how you look at all of this though. None of it seems to be about flexing for the sake of flexing. He genuinely cares about the craftsmanship behind every single piece he owns, not just what it costs. And that same mindset carries directly into his real job, where he's responsible for billions of dollars in investments through QIA. QIA has put money into everything from luxury hotels to tech startups, and they quietly hold stakes in companies people use every single day without even realizing it. Volkswagen, Barclays, names sitting in his portfolio that most people would never connect to Qatar at all. He's also not chasing money for the sake of it either. He's actively pushing investment into education and healthcare, using his actual position to shape what Qatar looks like going forward. And that's really what makes this one different from a lot of the names on this list. Qatar's entire economy still runs heavily on oil right now. This man is one of the people actively trying to build something that survives long after that oil runs dry. A real knowledge-based economy that doesn't collapse the second the wells stop producing. Zayed Al Thani. His Bugatti Chiron pumps out 1,500 horsepower and can hit more than 260 miles per hour. And that's not even the most interesting thing about this guy. The car alone runs around $3 million, sure, but the real story here is everything happening around it. He's a key figure at Qatar Holding LLC, the company that takes Qatar's money and puts it to work all over the world. But he's not just sitting behind a desk managing funds either. He actually sits on the boards of major international corporations, the kind of names everyone recognizes. British American Tobacco, he's involved there. Deutsche Bank, he's got a seat there too. When people talk about global finance, this man is actually in the room. Now, back to the cars, because the Chiron isn't even alone in that garage. He also owns a Ferrari LaFerrari, and only 499 of these were ever built worldwide. It goes from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. And when it first came out, it cost more than $1 million. With so few left in existence, it's worth considerably more today than what he paid for it. Then there's the Rolls-Royce Phantom sitting next to both of them, and this one's a completely different kind of insane. Custom leather inside, real wood trim, and a fiber optic ceiling built to look exactly like a starry night sky while you're driving. This isn't a car, it's a hotel room that happens to move. His home in Doha matches the energy completely, looking less like a house and more like an actual small resort. Multiple pools, a private cinema, and more bathrooms inside than some entire neighborhoods combined. He's also got a penthouse in London with views straight over the Thames, plus a coastal home in Malibu where he can watch the sun go down over the Pacific Ocean every single evening. Add it all up, and his property portfolio alone is worth more than some entire countries. His watch collection is just as extreme, the kind that would make even a seasoned banker jealous. We're talking pieces that individually cost more than most people's entire homes. Each one basically a tiny work of art strapped to his wrist. Here's the part that actually says the most about him, though. As a kid, his version of normal was polo lessons and private diving trips, the kind of childhood most people only see in movies. And that luxury never really stopped. It just got bigger. Today, his social life runs through exclusive events surrounded by billionaires and world leaders like it's nothing. But the thing that genuinely separates him from a lot of other names on this list is that he's not just spending money he was handed. He's actually moving through the business world himself, influencing decisions that ripple out across global finance. People don't just tolerate him in the room because of who his family is. When Zayed speaks, billionaires actually listen. Most people inherit money. This one inherited a seat at the table, and then actually showed up to use it. Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani. This man has an entire fleet of private jets, not one, not two, a fleet. And each plane is bigger than some people's actual houses, fitted out with gold detailing and leather seats that individually cost more than most cars on the road. His fortune sits at $8 billion, enough to genuinely buy a small country if he wanted to. But here's what actually separates him from a lot of names on this list. He's not the type to just pile up wealth and sit on it. Let's start with the garage anyway, because it's still ridiculous. Bugatti, Koenigsegg, Pagani, sitting side by side. These aren't regular luxury cars either. Each one costs millions of dollars, and there are probably only a handful of each model in it. Then there's the real estate, and this is where it gets out of control. A palace in Doha that looks more like an entire small city, several pools and more rooms than some actual hotels. A home in London that takes up an entire city block on its own. A mansion in Paris sitting right on the Champs-Élysées. And on top of all that, real estate in the United States too. And his property alone is worth more than the GDP of many countries combined. But here's where this one takes a real turn. He's deeply involved in education, and not in some vague donate and forget kind of way. He's established scholarships that help hundreds of students every single year get into Oxford, Harvard, MIT, the schools most people only dream about. And the scholarships don't just cover tuition either. They cover books, living expenses, everything. Healthcare is the same story. He's poured millions into building hospitals and funding research. And he's created programs that bring people from developing countries straight into Qatar for treatment that could actually save their lives. One of his biggest projects is an ultra-modern orthopedic and sports medicine hospital in Doha, the kind of place with robots assisting in surgery and rehabilitation equipment that looks pulled straight out of a science fiction film. He's also working to bring world-class medical schools into Qatar itself, partnering with institutions like Weill Cornell Medicine to open branches in Doha. Also, the next generation of doctors can be trained right there in the Middle East instead of having to leave. And none of this is random either. He's got an actual strategy behind it. Renewable energy investment to pull Qatar's economy away from education and healthcare investment to turn Doha into a genuine global hub for both. He's not just signing checks from a distance either. He's personally in these meetings, with world leaders in boardrooms, overseeing these projects himself. Because at the end of the day, he's not just a man with $8 billion, he's part of a royal family with responsibilities that go way past personal wealth, shaping everything from foreign policy to long-term economic strategy. A fleet of private jets, palaces on 3 continents, and underneath all of it, a man treating his fortune less like a lifestyle and more like a tool to build something that outlasts him. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. This man built an island shaped like a palm tree, big enough to see from actual space. And that's honestly one of the smaller things on his list. He's the vice president and prime minister of the UAE, and the ruler running the whole show in Dubai, with a fortune of more than $14 billion. That's more money than some entire countries have sitting in their national budget. He's not just enjoying that money either. He's actively transforming Dubai and the entire UAE at the same time, touching real estate, technology, infrastructure, all of it at once. When this man makes a move, the whole world actually feels it. Let's start with where he lives, because Buckingham Palace genuinely looks small next to this. His main residence is Zabil Palace, and it's less of a home and more of an entire small city. Hundreds of rooms, several pools, and more bathrooms inside than some entire neighborhoods combined. That palm-shaped island, Palm Jumeirah, that's his project too, and it's just one piece of an entire collection of artificial islands he's built off the coast of Dubai. He's also got something called Endurance Village, a whole complex built purely around his love of endurance horse racing. But the real story is what he's doing with the country itself. He's pouring billions into turning Dubai into a global technology hub, pushing investment into smart cities, artificial intelligence, blockchain, every piece of cutting-edge tech available. The goal is making Dubai the Silicon Valley of the Middle East, and he's got the money and the power to actually make that happen. Infrastructure is where this gets even bigger. The Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on the entire planet, that's his project. He's also building an entirely new city called Dubai Creek Harbor, designed to make Manhattan look small by comparison, complete with some of the tallest twin towers in the world, a massive new airport, and housing for roughly 1 million people. He's creating one of the largest artificial wildlife reserves in the world, bigger than some actual countries, set to become home to thousands of animals. His vision goes even further than that. He wants the UAE to become a true global center for business. He's created free trade zones specifically to pull international companies into the country. He's invested heavily in renewable energy to prepare for a future once oil stops being the main source of income. He's pushing education hard too, building a skilled workforce that can carry all of this forward long after he's gone. And then there's the part that sounds like science fiction. He has actual plans for the colonization of Mars. He wants the UAE to become the first Arab country to ever send people to the Red Planet. Most people are thinking about their next car or their next house. He's thinking about an entire civilization existing somewhere that isn't even Earth. So that's the head of state running Dubai itself. More than $14 billion. A palm-shaped island visible from space, the tallest building on the planet, a city designed to outsize Manhattan, a wildlife reserve bigger than some countries, and a plan to eventually put his own people on Mars. Every name before this one was building a fortune. This one's building the actual future.